Welcome to the Two Chicks with Hiking Sticks podcast. We cover all things natural, cultural, and historical in the world around us. Sit back and enjoy our sometimes snarky, often funny, and never dull podcast. Howdy, howdy. It's Susan with Two Chicks with Hiking Sticks.
I'm Monica.
And we are here to, you know what we do. We cover the natural, historical, and cultural world around us.
Yes, we do.
And sometimes that means we're going to cover historical figures.
Oh, okay.
And one of those, well, I don't know, when you say historical figures, now I'm like, is that like a person? How did the word figures become representative of a person?
I don't know.
I don't know why that just stumped me saying historical figures anyhow.
It's kind of weird now that you mention it. I've never really thought about it. And I probably won't think about it after we finish this.
Well, we're going to cover a historical person. And that person is Harriet Tubman.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yes.
And just an amazing human being for all the reasons that you probably think you know.
Yes.
But even more amazing for a lot of the reasons you probably had no idea.
Oh, okay. Do tell.
And I say that because in 2024, I was, going around to MPS sites, and I had gone to the Harriet Tubman National Historic Park, which is up in Maryland. I want to say it's Church Creek, Maryland. It's basically on the kind of like the Delmarva Peninsula area.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew what everybody else kind of knew of Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad, right?
Right.
And I went to this place and learned things about this woman that I'm like, oh, like, how in the world did she do the things that she did in her lifetime? Not just when she was enslaved, right?
Okay, yeah.
And so we're going to chat about her because I think it's an important thing to learn about her life and what she did as a sub 5 foot woman formerly enslaved in her lifetime. So we're going to begin.
Cool.
I know, I'm so excited. Well, and then the other day, for some reason, I don't know why I never saw the movie Harriet. Did you ever see the movie Harriet?
No, I did not.
That was with Cynthia Erivo playing Harriet Tubman.
Really? Okay.
It came out like a couple years ago, maybe. I don't know when it came out, but was looking for something to watch the other night. I'm like, why have I not watched this movie? Because I had been to Harriet Tubman and I'm like, I should watch this movie. So I watched the movie and I'm like, wow. Anyhow, you need to watch the movie. If you haven't watched the movie, you need to watch the movie.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Because Cynthia is like, she's like really good.
She is very good.
Everybody knows her basically from Wicked probably, but she was really good in this role. So.
No, I actually knew her before Wicked when she played on The Outsiders, Stephen King show on HBO, and she played the character of Holly, who is the main character, and it was a little different than what I was expecting, but really good. And so that's where I knew her from. It was a little because I had a whole picture of Holly in my head from other books, and so she kind of came and ripped that picture apart.
And you're like, don't know if I agree with that choice.
But not sure, but it was very good. I can't gripe. It was good. So that's how I knew her before Wicked. Yeah. But I had no idea. She's a very talented actress, but
really,
I digress.
She is. So she stars in that movie, and it is a movie you should see. Absolutely. So you'll learn a lot about Harriet Tubman's life. You'll learn about the part of the Underground Railroad, that part really mostly about Harriet's life. Now, Harriet Tubman was not born Harriet Tubman, obviously. She was born as Araminta Ross, and her nickname was Minty. Everybody called her Minty.
Oh, okay.
But she eventually changed her name. She did marry, and she married a man with the last name Tubman, so she took that name. But she lived to be just like, I don't know, a little over 90 years old.
Wow.
And that's remarkable because of, bless her little heart. So she was enslaved. And when she was young, really young, like, probably like 12, she got hit in the head. She was stepping in because an overseer was hassling one of these enslaved little boys or whatever, and she stepped in. The overseer was chunking a 2-pound weight at the guy, or the other enslaved little kid, and she stepped in the middle of it, and she got whacked in the head with this 2-pound weight
I remember reading that.
right in her head. And yeah, 2 days later, she was still working in the fields doing her stuff because she didn't get hospitalized. She didn't get any treatment. She didn't get anything. She got nothing. She got whacked in the head and had to keep doing the work she was doing.
Man.
But it wasn't until later on in life, and she got married, and she was married to a free man. So she was married to a free man, but they were going to sell her down south. And she was like, no, I'm not going to do it. Not going to go. And so this is where she makes her escape. And she wanted her husband to come, but her husband didn't want to go because he was already free. He liked living in Maryland. He was fine.
Right.
So she's like, I gotta go. I can't do this. I'm not going to be sold away down south and be away from any part of my family. Right. Not going to do it. And this is where it all starts. She escapes. She's on the run. She goes miles and miles and miles and miles and miles and miles to get to Philadelphia, basically.
Right.
And to get to freedom. And you would think that that by itself would have been just astounding, because it was. But this is where you learn about the Underground Railroad, which was neither underground nor a railroad.
Right.
So people sometimes mistake that, of thinking that it's one and the same, or that they are what they are. No, it has nothing to do with that. It has pretty much everything to do with the miles that she traversed with the help of people along the way to hide her when needed, to get her to basically to freedom in Pennsylvania. And it was at that point that she gets there that she's like, we got to go free the other people. And everybody's kind of hesitant, like, oh no, we don't think that can be done. We're working on stuff. And she's like, peace out. I'm going. And then she makes, like, I don't know, 12 trips or something like that.
Wow.
Hundreds of miles that she's collecting people.
She was a woman with conviction, obviously,
Yeah, I mean, and granted, some people I've heard criticize that, well, it's just her family and friends that she was rescuing. It's like, she was starting where she was, and where she was happened to be the family and friends that she had been enslaved with.
Yeah.
And that's you. And this is where, and we've talked somewhat about this in other podcasts, is that you make a difference where you're planted. And that's where she was coming from, is in Church Creek, Maryland. And that's what she did, is she kept going back there, trying to get people out, her brothers or whoever, get everybody out and up to freedom. And then they had passed the Fugitive Act, which said that basically if an enslaved person was somewhere and anywhere and they had escaped, they could be returned. So, yeah, while escaping to the north seemed like it was a good thing to do in the short term, in the long term, it wasn't. And that's why they had to go farther and go into Canada. And so that's why that stretch ended up going into Canada, because then, at least in Canada, because they didn't have,
jurisdiction.
Yeah, exactly. That was the safest place to go. So when you think about this thing, I mean, how far she had to go in order to protect her family,
right,
and friends and people in that area, it's remarkable, the work that she did for that.
So going back to what you said a second ago, there was criticism about the fact that she wasn't doing enough.
Well, it's like, okay, yeah, so she did this, but it was really just for her family and friends. It's like, well, it why does it even matter? Number one, right?
Exactly.
But number two, that was what this woman could not read and write. So she couldn't even read directions of where to go if there was a sign, right?
Yeah.
This woman was taking it upon herself because she knew how precious freedom was.
Right.
That she was going to do the things she knew how to do, which was to get people out of the areas that she knew. What I found more amazing is that she kept going back basically to the same place and getting people to escape, right? And bringing them up into freedom, is how she never got caught.
That's crazy. That reminds me of a story. I don't want to seg too far. That I read a book that I read last year about I cannot remember her name. She was the most proficient spy in World War II. She had a limp. She had a false leg, and she like got more shit done than any other spy, and nobody ever caught her. I mean, she came close to it once, and then she hiked over the Alps to get out at the end with her false leg. It was the most insane story, and if I find the title,
Oh, I'd
Susan,
love to read that.
Susan's going to put it down here somewhere.
Yes,
It,
yes, I
it
am.
was such a good book, and so I'm seeing just the parallels. Um, you know, um, Women doing what they need to do to get the job done, and it doesn't matter who it's affecting. There,
No.
it's not mandatory for you to be altruistic when you're trying to help people or save people. You do what you can when you can, the way that you can, and thank God for it. They're
Well, in that there were safe spots along the route that people, white, black, mixed, heritages and
right,
stuff and
right.
races that were helping her and the people she was taking, to save. Which this woman, again, sub 5 foot, she's 4 foot something,
Yeah,
small woman, couldn't read or write, determined as heck. She got the nickname Moses for freeing these people. And so people would think that the person that they were looking for was, somebody bigger, perhaps even a man or whoever. It's like,
right.
no, it's just little Minty running around gathering up people. But,
Wow.
and so this was like a significant part of this early part of her life. But after that, this is where we start getting into what she did in the rest of her life. Going back to what you were talking about, the spy, she was a spy in the Civil War for the Union,
Oh, really?
which I didn't
I did
know.
not know that.
She was really good at it. In fact, she was instrumental in, because she knew these areas so well. She knew the waterways around in the Maryland area, Chesapeake area, and all of that. She knew it so well that she knew these plantations, and people that she was saving from these plantations knew these plantations, right?
Right.
And they were like rice fields or what have you. The Union got a hold of them and basically wiped that food out for the Confederates. I mean, it was like the intel she could get was so
Sure.
valuable that eventually they finally recognized her more recently, as a brigadier general in the reserve, essentially,
Oh,
uh,
wow.
because of the work and the contributions that she made in leading, like, these types of things, whether it was identifying places that they could get food or whatever, to actually doing raids and things. Like,
Wow.
she was like a, I'm going to say, and it's a little cuss word, so close your ears if you don't like cuss words. She was like a badass. She
Yeah, she
was.
was. Yeah, she was. That's awesome. I had no idea that she, first of all, was a spy, and then you said what? They basically gave her the rank
Yeah, brigadier general.
posthumously. That's
Yes.
awesome. That's
Yes.
awesome. I had no clue.
Well, and the thing is that they were hesitant to do a whole lot of recognition of her for whatever reason. But, as I mean, I'm sure because she was a woman and she was black, but they didn't want to do too much. But, because she was
Same
just
thing
trying to
with
get
this
a,
other story.
yeah,
Parallels. Yeah.
right. And it's just wrong anyhow. But so she does all this work, and then she works with Susan B. Anthony on women's suffrage rights,
I remember that. Yes, I remember that.
which, again, fascinating. She also, once she got settled down, and her home she made, I want to say, is up in near Auburn, New York, somewhere up in upper state New York.
Hmm.
That her idea is that she wanted to have a home for, essentially African Americans to be able to come if they're getting old or they need assistance or they need
Oh,
whatever.
wow.
Yeah, so she really did that, and that was like one of her things she really wanted to do before she was not on this earth anymore, is to pay it forward and to help those that needed help. And right before she died, or wasn't really able to, up in her 80s and all, she was able to purchase some land. Now, this woman did not have money because she, the United States government didn't want to give her much of a pension in
Right.
the
Shocker.
for her time that she was in the military. They eventually upped that money, but still she was having to like have bake sales and stuff to make money. But some land became available near where she lived, and so she worked with some other folks to get that land purchased and to build a place for like a home for people who needed help. And ultimately, in her later age, that is where she got taken care of. And it's like it almost became like a full circle moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we talk about this woman and the badassery that she did, because when she got hit in the head, she would have like these spells, and people weren't sure exactly what her spells were, but there's some technical medical term about what that became or
Hmm.
what that was, but we didn't know it at the time. But she really felt it was the time that God was talking to her to guide her on what she needed to do. And that's what she believed. And she would just go in these states of kind of like being frozen for a moment, having this moment. And everybody knew to leave her alone because she was having her moment talking to God about what she needed to do. And eventually she had brain surgery, but this was like when she was like in her 70s.
Wow.
And when she had her brain surgery, the word is she refused anesthesia and said, "I'm just going to bite down on a bullet like they did in the Civil War, the men in the Civil War."
Oh.
Exactly.
Oh.
I'm like,
What the
I don't,
hell?
I don't, I am not worthy to hold a candle to this woman.
My God.
I,
Holy.
I
Oh,
know, I am amazed, but at that age to have that surgery and not have anesthesia, I'm amazed by that.
um, have you ever read the book The Stand by Stephen King?
No,
I figured you were going to say no.
that's
For
Stephen
those of you
King.
that have, for anybody that's a King fan, you might okay, just very quickly, because I don't want to go too deep into this. There is the stand is basically about a virus that kills 99% of the population, and the people that are left are drawn. They're either drawn to good or evil.
Oh boy.
And the good is represented by Mother Abigail. And Mother Abigail is an old black woman who is living on, I think it's called Hempstead, out in the middle of a cornfield in uh, Iowa, I think, or somewhere along that way. And the evil people are being drawn to Sin City, which but Mother Abigail is being called on, or she feels like she's being called on by God. And so people dream. They either dream of one or the other, and then they follow the dreams.
That route.
And so I've always wondered, I had wondered in the past when I first read it, and I think that there has been some talk in the Stephen King world, although he's never said he was that character was influenced by Harriet Tubman. When
Really?
you talk about the what we used to call petit mal seizures is what it sounds like,
Hmm.
where you kind of like
Yeah.
just stop, and the little discussions that maybe she's having with God during those moments, that Mother Abigail sounds suspiciously like Harriet Tubman, but not in New York. Anyway, just my own little thing.
But that's interesting. That's interesting that there might be that parallel. Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows?
King's
But
never said it, but you never know. People, little niggles come in the back of your mind, and
yeah,
they just sit there and create ideas.
yeah. So the whole Civil War aspect, guess I just never learned anywhere in any of my
Yeah,
my teachings or any history classes that I've ever
I had
taken. But
never heard that.
it was called the Combahee River Raid, and it was in 1863. And yeah, so
Hmm.
the work that she did for the North, again, she had a dog in the fight, people
Yeah.
she knew that were being enslaved and all. But
Yep.
so, yeah, so she, had gotten married, she escapes, husband didn't want to go. Everybody thinks she died. And this is why, when they eventually termed her, without knowing her, Moses, they never thought it would be Harriet Tubman because they figured she would have died. There's no way somebody was going to escape on foot, right, to
Right.
the north. It just wasn't going to happen, right?
Right.
So he took her for dead and eventually got remarried. Broke her heart. In the movie, it really breaks her heart. And
Oh.
I'm sure it did because she came back to get him and her brothers, and he had remarried
Oh.
and had a baby.
Just like a man.
Couldn't wait. I mean, and I get it. I mean, I guess I get
I'm
it.
just being facetious.
But it kind of broke my heart. But later in life, she did get married, and this little cougar married a man that was like 20 years her junior.
Good for her, damn it.
I know, right? But yeah, she stayed being, I guess, Harriet Tubman. But I just think that, when you think about this person in our history, and there's been talk about putting her on the $20 bill, taking Andrew Jackson off and putting her on. And that hasn't come to fruition at this point. But I think that, she's pretty doggone worthy. I mean, I don't
So
know that anybody could argue.
is her house or is something like designated as a national site or register or whatever?
Well, so there is such a thing
Oh,
called
here we go.
the
Okay.
the
I should have
National Underground
known.
Railroad Network to Freedom. Now,
I
here's the
should have
thing.
known.
Well, it's either that or the Underground Railroad.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. When you talk about the Underground Railroad, this isn't just where Harriet was, right?
Right.
This
Right.
Underground Railroad is, when they say it's a network, and it goes through multiple states because, and here's a little bit of a map of it, if you can see that.
Yeah.
Those are all
Yeah.
kind of routes. And interestingly enough, because San Antonio has a place that was recognized as being a part of the Underground Railroad. Because if you can,
Seriously.
yes, it's one of our missions. I can't remember if it's Mission San Jose. I think it's San Jose. One of our,
Wow.
yeah, that it contributed to because people were escaping down into Mexico. Makes sense.
Okay.
Texas was close to Mexico,
Sure.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
Huh.
so who knew, right?
I have learned so much today already. Jeez.
It's what we do. It's what we do is we learn. We live and we learn. Now, you talking about all the places along the historic the Underground Railroad, there are many. And in fact, you can get, I'm just trying to look this up, make sure I get this right. So the National Historic, there's a byway that will take you through Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania, take you through, and it's like 116 mile, I think, byway that takes you through Maryland to Kennett Square in Pennsylvania. And these women, there was a group of women who did this. It was a group of 8 women that did this back in, I want to say it was like 2020 or somewhere around there. They actually walked it.
Oh,
Now,
wow.
this is only this one section because there's really not a formal hiking of the Underground Railroad and the route that Harriet took, but there
Right.
are many stops along the way with many historical places that you can stop and read about that aided in this journey that she was on.
Okay.
So this, I was looking at there was a video of a woman who had done this too. And it's like, it's so moving because eventually you can get to where she passed away and where her grave is, which is really
Oh.
kind of cool. But this journey, I'm amazed at how many different historical sites there are. And some of them are accessible. Some of them, accessible in terms of you can actually go visit them. Some of them
Right.
are still on private land and no, you can't.
Right.
But if you're interested at all in any portion of the Underground Railroad in any part of its network, you can just Google that and find all the different places across the country that assisted in that.
Wow, that's very cool. But her homestead or the area that you said that she created to help as people got older and where she was taken care of, is that's not there's no there's no like registered site or.
Well, her home is, yes.
It is? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, her home is. But I don't know that it's like, yeah, I think you can go in it. Yeah, I'm trying to remember if you can go in it, because where the National Historic Park is not near where obviously she ended up living up in Auburn.
Right.
But I have to highly recommend though the National Historic Park, because the visitor center
Hmm.
is it is magnificent. It's got all the information that you didn't even know about Harriet Tubman in a way that is easily digestible,
Cool.
and you just the and it's fairly new. It's just the information is so rich, and the way that they display it and the videos that they have that they share is just pretty cool. Now there is a hike you can do there. That's a 4 mile hike. It's like a 2 mile out and back. So just to
Okay.
give you a feel kind of what that was like in that area, because this historic park is where she was enslaved. It's in that area that she was enslaved. So you do get a feel of that.
Hmm.
But yeah, the byway is pretty cool that you can drive it. So,
Cool.
roughly 125 miles of driving that you can do. That'll have different points along the way that you can pull off and read signs and different things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah. So this woman, amazing, amaze balls.
Yes. Sounds like it. I learned a lot about her today and all that. So that's really great because you know me, I don't really care for history, but I liked this. This was really good.
Well, because I guess the part that always gets me is the stuff I learned in school to the stuff I now know as an adult and what that gap is. And the only way
Yeah,
you ever fill that gap as a human being is you go out and you figure it out, or you go out and
that's
you
right.
experience, you go out and you see,
That's right.
because without that, then yeah. So, yeah, the one thing I thought was interesting about this byway, and again, I think it was in 2024 that she got finally recognized as and kind of promoted or established as a brigadier general, right? 2024,
Hmm.
that was only 2 years ago, wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
It was in 2022 that finally Pennsylvania closed the gap and finally established that route through Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania. Um, Finally closed the gap and finally recognized that part of that section of the byway as the historical byway. It's like it took them that long to do that. Like, come on, how hard is it? That way you
Not
can get
hard, but
signage up. That way, people know where to go and what to look for and what it's
that's right.
for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. I know I get a little emotional about some of this stuff.
But hey, it's all, I mean, it's all good. And that's what we're here for
That's
to
right.
kind of bring some of this up to light. So
That's right. So if you like what we cover and these tidbits of information you can get about some of these historical figures in our lives,
we're good
um,
at tidbits.
we're good at tidbits. So make sure you follow us. Follow us on YouTube. We're on
Thumbs up.
Facebook. We're on Instagram too. Give us a thumbs up, share, get notifications, do all of that. You can buy us a cup of coffee. You can also buy
Yeah.
some merch. And
Merch.
we have some merch for Two Chicks with Hiking Sticks. So there you go. You have anything else
Right.
you'd like to add there, Monica?
I think I have added all the stuff that was not necessary. That's what I do.
It's our contributions that we have. All right. Well, then, if we have nothing else, be sure to go hike your own
Take your own
hike.
hike.
And we'll check y'all later. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, and remember to follow our podcast wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to Two Chicks with Hiking Sticks on YouTube, where you also get to see our lovely faces, pictures, and videos of our journey.